Hello students, today we are going to start a topic which is there in physics as well as chemistry. You have studied that topic over a period of time. You have studied that in 8th standard, you have studied that in 9th standard, and you have studied that in 10th standard as well. The topic is atom. So we are quite familiar with what is an atom and what happens and so on and so forth. So what we'll be doing is, we'll be revising all the basics which you have studied over a period of time, so that you understand the basics of atom properly, because that's what is going to be very significant in 11th as well as 12th standard. So before we see the structure of an atom, before we see the evolution of the current structure, what all theories were associated with atom, let us look into it first. So theory number 1, Dalton's atomic theory. Dalton's atomic theory. The oldest one, 1803, where an English school teacher gave the first theory of an atom. The theory remained unchallenged till 1897, when an experiment was done by Sir J.J. Thomson, and he gave his own model of an atom. He proved one of the most significant postulate of Dalton's atomic theory wrong. I hope you know that postulate. Fine. J.J. Thomson theory was proved again. There was a problem with that theory, and the structure which J.J. Thomson gave of an atom was proved wrong by Rutherford. And somewhere in 1920s, Rutherford gave his own model of an atom. So understand the fact that we are saying, okay, right now Bohr-Sommerfeld theory, somewhere here we are. But these theories are the evolution history of an atom. Rutherford theory was fine, there was no problem with Rutherford theory, but there was, later on it was proved that there is some minute problem with Rutherford theory. We will be studying that as well in great details in 11th and 12th. And we have the Bohr's theory. Bohr's theory of an atom. Niels Bohr, one of the greatest scientists of the last century. And this theory was followed by yet another theory that is called as Bohr-Sommerfeld's model. This is there for engineering and the higher end studies, so we won't be going into it. So 4 theories we are supposed to understand. One by one we'll start with the theory. Dalton's atomic theory. Dalton in the year 1803 gave his theory, where he said the smallest particle of an element is an atom. Atom क्या है? तो atom is the smallest particle of an element. हमारे periodic table में अगर आपने देखा, so there are 118 elements, some of them natural, after 92, artificially prepared, and so on and so forth. But in totality, 118 elements. So Dalton said that the smallest particle of an element is an atom. If you take any element and you go on cutting that element, ultimately what you land up is the smallest particle of element, which is called an atom. So element का smallest particle is an atom. Atom of the same element are alike, same atom, the elements are alike. इसका मतलब क्या है कि अगर कोई एक एटम आपने लिया, सिल्वर का एटम लिया, सिल्वर इज Ag, and you take that atom in India, you take it in South Africa, you take it in US, it will have the same configuration, it will have the same number of proton, neutron, electron, that is what you are studying. There is no difference whatsoever in the same atom, but atom of different element are altogether different. Atom of different elements are altogether different. You cannot compare the atom of sodium and the atom of chlorine. They have completely different configurations. So, number 4, he said an atom is indivisible. That is the most important part of this theory. This theory, Dalton's atomic theory, was proved wrong by J.J. Thomson on the basis of this point. Dalton said that an atom is indivisible. Indivisible का मतलब समझते हो कि कोई भी एलिमेंट का सबसे छोटा जो पार्ट है वो एटम है, उसको और नहीं तोड़ा जा सकता है, उसको और डिसइंटीग्रेट नहीं किया जा सकता है, ये जॉन डाल्टन ने कहा. Everyone agreed to that. It was absolutely the nicest possible theory at that point of time. An English teacher giving such a nice theory which was not challenged for around 80 to 90 years. But later on, J.J. Thomson proved this theory wrong. How he proved this theory wrong is he proved that an atom is divisible. He proved that an atom is divisible. Atom को तोड़ा जा सकता है. अभी हमको मालूम है there are many subatomic particles. Proton है, electron है, neutron है, gravitrons है, mesons है, and all that stuff. But the first person to prove that an atom is divisible was Sir J.J. Thomson. It was in the year 1897 that he performed a famous experiment which is called a discharge tube experiment. We will be studying the discharge tube experiment in 11th standard and some mathematics in 12th standard as well. And he proved that an atom is divisible. So, moment he proved atom is divisible, the Dalton's theory lost its significance because it was experimentally proved that atom is divisible by J.J. Thomson. Dalton's के इसलिए Dalton's atomic theory के postulate कहा जाता है. There was no experimental evidence to it. J.J. Thomson gave the experimental evidence. The experiment was referred to as the discharge tube experiment, in which he proved the divisibility. Fine, then what happened? So once he proved the divisibility, he gave his own model of an atom. उन्होंने अपना खुद का एक atomic model दिया दुनिया को, which was accepted because he experimentally proved कि an atom is divisible. What was that? We refer to that model as the plum and the pudding model. So he said atom is spherical. Okay, fine. Still we say the same thing approximately. और उसके अंदर पॉजिटिव चार्ज है और जितना पॉजिटिव चार्ज है उतना ही नेगेटिव चार्ज है. Plum and pudding is there in this. You can see I have drawn 4 pluses and 4 minus sides. What I mean by that is J.J. Thomson said that an atom is spherical in shape, and inside the sphere, like a plum and a pudding, you have the positive and the negative charges. The positive and the negative charges are there. You will understand a very significant thing, that an atom has positive charge as well as negative charge, but in spite of having positive as well as negative charge, an atom is electrically neutral. So what do you mean by electrical neutrality? When I say an atom is electrically neutral, yes, something is electrically neutral, there are two possibilities. Possibility number 1, it is devoid of any charges. उसके अंदर कोई charge नहीं है, तो it will be neutral. That is not the case over here. The second possibility is that the amount of positive charge which is there inside it, in this case 4 pluses let us say, is exactly equal to the amount of negative charge in it, 4 minuses. So this is still neutral because the positive charge is exactly balanced by the negative charge and the neutrality of an atom is established. This theory, this model of an atom, the experiment, was largely acknowledged and he was aptly called as Sir J.J. Thomson, one of the breakthrough experiments in the 19th century, and his model was largely acknowledged and accepted by everyone. The theory was absolutely right. But there was a small issue in this. Although he proved that an atom is divisible, thereafter he gave the model of an atom. He was not able to prove that this model is experimentally right. And very interestingly, he said, although I have proved the divisibility, I am not able to prove this model to be right. And he gave the responsibility to prove this model right to his disciple, Ernest Rutherford. Ernest Rutherford was given the responsibility, he was working with J.J. Thomson and he was given the responsibility to prove that this model, which was given by Sir J.J. Thomson, is correct. He had to experimentally demonstrate that this model works. And for this model to work, he has to devise an experimental setup. That's what you have studied it in, I think, in your 8th or 9th standard. Rutherford came up with a fabulous experiment, and that is called as gold foil experiment. Yes, scattering experiment, what we refer to it as. What was done in that experiment? In that experiment, a gold foil was taken. Extremely thin gold foil was taken. He assumed that this model is right. This model should work. He just wanted to prove that this model is correct. So he took a thin gold foil, extremely thin. He said it's almost like एक atom है, उसके side में दूसरा atom है, तीसरा atom, and all these atoms are something like this in shape. So he thought it is like this. Second atom, third gold atom, fourth gold atom, and this was the structure. And then over here another gold atom, over here gold atom, and so on and so forth. Even over here we can draw the layers and we can go on drawing it. Fine. So this was the gold foil. And what he did was, he said, okay, this should be the right answer. And he bombarded onto this gold foil, assuming this model to be right. He bombarded onto the gold foil alpha particles. What are alpha particles? The alpha particles are nothing but a packet of 2 protons and 2 neutrons. We know that now. We will be studying that in details later on. But basically alpha particle is nothing but a packet of 2 protons and 2 neutrons. He bombarded those alpha particles on this. He knew what result should come up. These are spheres, mind well. Although in 2 dimensions I am drawing it in the form of a circle, in 3 dimensions you will be assuming it as a sphere. These spheres are kept one above the another, they form the gold foil. And just imagine it that way and you will understand that these are the vacant spaces. This is the vacant space. This is the vacant space. Over here, this is the vacant space. And you know what should happen? Before doing the experiment, he had thought out what should happen. When I bombard alpha particles on this, very small number of alpha particles which are oriented in this direction, which are oriented in this direction, which are oriented in this direction, they should pass through. All other alpha particles which are oriented in different directions other than these, बिल्कुल इसके सीध में जो alpha particles है वो pass हो जाएंगे आगे. Just like this, suppose this is the board, the alpha particles will pass which are oriented along these lines. बाकी सब alpha particles अलग-अलग angles से scatter हो जाएंगे. So how much is this space? Let us say 5%, 10%, 15%. So 10 to 15%, yeah, most of them, let us say 20% of the alpha particles should pass through. the remaining should get scattered. And assuming this, he started the experiment because he wanted to prove this structure of an atom which was given by J.J. Thomson to be right. So he started the experiment. He took the gold foil and he started bombarding the alpha particles. To his surprise, he found something different, altogether different than what he expected. What he found was almost all the alpha particles, 99.99% of the alpha particles passed through this gold foil undeflected. सीधे पास हो गए, थोड़े भी अल्फा पार्टिकल्स इधर उधर नहीं हिले. मोस्ट ऑफ देम पास थ्रू जस्ट लाइक कि अरे यहाँ कुछ है ही नहीं जिससे वो टकरा रहे. इट वाज ऑलमोस्ट लाइक एन एटम इज वैक्यूम, कुछ भी नहीं चले गए वहां से सीधे. And 99.99% is a big enough number for him to think that this model, this structure has some problem. 99.99% deviated, passed through undeviated. Few of the alpha particles deviated in different directions, and one alpha particle in thousands and millions, it came back, it retraced the path, and he was surprised to understand the fact that this is going to happen. Whatever has happened was only because of one reason, that majority of the atom is not what Sir J.J. Thomson gave, but the major part of an atom is vacuum. कुछ भी नहीं है वहां पे जहां से अल्फा पार्टिकल्स पास हो गए. He did this experiment over and over because he thought that this must be right. But over and over he got the same result. And he was forced to think that there is some problem with this thing. Eventually, he was not able to find out the reason, what happened. He was not able to understand even the structure of atom. He definitely knew one thing, this is wrong. But he was not able to understand what is right. So one fine day, he went to his friend who was studying all the stars and planets and the motion of the planets and all that stuff. And when he went and he was discussing something, he saw the solar system model. So he asked, Rutherford asked his friend, what is this? He said, okay, well, this is the sun, which is at the center of the solar system. And as we know, the majority of the mass of the solar system is concentrated in the sun. The mass of the sun is 2 into 10 raised to the power 30 kgs. And then what is there? Well, you have the different planets. So his friend explained to him, this is the sun and these are the planets which are revolving around and all that stuff. That explanation of his friend made Rutherford think that we can have the model of an atom based on the model of the solar system. We know the way solar system is. We have the centrally located centrally located sun, and revolving around the sun are the planets, Mars and Jupiter and Venus and Earth and all those stuff. So when Rutherford came back, he tried to analyze the structure of an atom based on the planetary model of an atom. Based on the planetary model. And what he thought was something very interesting. He said the majority of the atom is vacuum. The majority of the atom is vacuum. This is the atom, suppose. Spherical, again spherical in shape. But majority of the atom is vacuum. Fine. At the center of the atom, there exists something we call as a nucleus. The word nucleus was given by Ernest Rutherford. Extremely small but extremely dense part which is called as the nucleus. And he said that all the mass and all the positive charge, of an atom is entirely concentrated in this extremely small region called as the nucleus. Just like the fact that the entire mass of the solar system is concentrated in the sun. Sun is 2 into 10 raised to the power 30 kgs, while the mass of the earth is 6 into 10 raised to 24 kg. So 10 raised to 6 earths possibly will make one sun. So similarly, he said the atom should consist of a centrally located part called as a nucleus, in which the entire mass and the entire positive charge of an atom is concentrated. Majority of the atom, ये जो side में दिख रहा है, it's vacuum. So only this much part, you can say this is just a dot. Then you have vacuum. And then he said that, so if I say only the nucleus, then it will become positively charged. He said that there are electrons revolving around in circular orbit around the nucleus at definite distance. We know these are the orbits. First orbit capacity is something and second orbit capacity is something and so on and so forth. And he said the total amount of positive charge which is there in the nucleus, total amount of positive charge which is there in the nucleus is exactly equal to the total amount of negative charge which is circulating over here. He gave the name, the name of this negative charge is electron. And again remember the fact that Rutherford did not disturb the neutrality of an atom. He said the amount of negative charge which is revolving around the nucleus, is exactly equal to the amount of positive charge which is there inside the nucleus. So the model fits in. Now let us see this with reference to the Wohlfeil experiment. Now if this is the structure of an atom and I bombard alpha particles, that is nothing but 2 protons and 2 neutrons along this line, then I understand that there is a huge probability, a maximum number of alpha particles are going to go through this, they are going to travel through this. And therefore, as the experimental evidence suggests, that majority of the alpha particles will pass through this gold foil undeviated. Now this result tallies with the experimental result. Very few alpha particles which were bombarded along the line of the nucleus and so on and so forth, they were scattered in some angle or the other, but majority of the alpha particles passed undeflected. So this is the Rutherford's model of an atom, which proves the fact that an atom is electrically neutral. Yes, atom consists of a small part which is nucleus, and revolving around the nucleus is the negative charge. The total negative charge and the total positive charge are equal. This model, because Rutherford derived it from the solar system, the model was referred to as the planetary model of an atom. So this model was referred as the planetary model of an atom. So everything worked fine. Everyone said, okay, fine, there is no problem with this. Till there was a theory which was coming up, which is Maxwell's classical electromagnetic theory. Let us see what is Maxwell's classical electromagnetic theory. But before we see Maxwell's classical electromagnetic theory, let us understand that what these electrons are doing. Electrons are revolving around the nucleus. How are the electrons revolving around the nucleus? The electrons are revolving around the nucleus. They are even rotating, just like the Earth. So fine, they are the electrons charged particles? Yes, they have negative charge. And they are revolving? Yes. So there was a theory given by Maxwell which said any charged particle, electron is a charged particle, and when it goes around, it should emit energy. Maxwell said that any charged particle, electron is a charged particle, and which is going in circle, it is going in circle around the nucleus, it should emit energy. So what's going to happen if it emits energy? Obviously we know if it is going to emit energy, its own energy should decrease. Of course, yes. So what? If its own energy is going to decrease, then what is going to happen? So common sense tells us that if that is the case, where an electron, which is a charged particle, number one, and number two, because it is going around the nucleus, both these characteristics should go ahead and conclude into the fact that it should emit energy. The obvious conclusion is that the energy of the electron should decrease, and what is going to happen because of this is this. This is the nucleus. The electron starts revolving and its energy starts decreasing, and as its energy starts decreasing, then this is going to happen. What is happening? The electron, because it's a charged particle, because it is revolving, it should emit energy. When it should emit energy, its own energy should decrease, and when its own energy is going to decrease, instead of following, when its own energy is going to decrease, instead of following a circular path around the nucleus as suggested by Rutherford, it should follow a spiral path, and ultimately it should go down into the nucleus, and ultimately it should get into the nucleus. ऐसा होता है क्या? लेकिन practically ऐसा नहीं होता. So this is the drawback. This is the problem associated with Rutherford theory. Majority of the Rutherford theory is right, but this problem remained a problem until Bohr came up with a fascinating idea. 11th and 12th standard में we study Bohr theory. ये 5 को मैंने cross किया. It is Bohr-Sommerfeld model of an atom, which we don't have in the syllabus. बोर्स ने क्या बोला इतना देखेंगे और फिर आज का लेक्चर खत्म करेंगे. Bohr's theory just it's nothing but it's Rutherford theory with a small change. What did he say? Bohr said that electrons can revolve. Bohr said that electrons can revolve in certain special orbits. He called them stationary orbits without radiating energy. Bohr said that ये ऐसा जो चक्कर है अंदर आके गिर जाने का, उसको सॉल्व करने के लिए Bohr use a very important concept. इसको quantum mechanics कहा जाता है. We won't be going into quantum mechanics right now. It's just 10th standard. But Bohr said that electrons can revolve in certain special orbit. कहीं भी नहीं घूम सकते इलेक्ट्रॉन. But electrons can revolve in certain special orbits referred to as stationary orbits, and when they revolve in stationary orbit, they need not emit energy. तो ऐसे घूम सकते, no problem. And this almost sorted out the issue. Okay, so what we have studied right now is basically the model of an atom given by different scientists. What are you supposed to do is you are supposed to check out what are subatomic particles, all possible subatomic particles, whatever subatomic particles you know, their masses, their charge, are they charged? If at all yes, then whether it is positive charge or negatively charged, and so on and so forth. And what do you mean by isotopes? What do you mean by isobar? What do you mean by atomic number? Please recollect this, which you have studied in grade 9 or grade 10 possibly, so that in the next lecture we can just go ahead and do everything associated with atomic numbers and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for watching this, and please revise whatever you have studied in grade 8, 9th and 10th associated with structure of atom. What I told in the beginning itself, it's there in physics as well as chemistry. Thank you for watching, and we'll continue this in the next lecture.